Chapter 7, Blood in the Snow. Alternate anagram chapter title, Hobo Tinned Owls. Tinned them all myself. Pawnee and Pam exchanged a worried ferret. They couldn't make Anna see reason when she was blinded by the special love a girl feels for her pony. But they couldn't leave the world of the living to save a millennia-old pony who was closer to a god than anything else that ever trod the earth either. The worried ferret squirmed out of Pam's hands and ran off to worry elsewhere. Pam sighed. "We'll go to hell with you," she said. Anna turned back around, tears welling up in her eyes. "Maybe you and Acorn can be redeemed," said Pawnee. "Maybe the cat, and death itself, aren't as powerful as mortals think." "But promise us you won't turn back as we leave the underworld," said Pawnee, "or Acorn might be pulled back in." Pam rolled her eyes like, "We get it, you know a bit about mythology. You want a fucking pat on the back? Where were you when I learned numbers, huh?" Anna wanted to hug her friends, but she knew that it was dangerous to show affection, since it could be taken as a sign of weakness. Acorn had taught her that. "Then it is settled," Pam said. "We will follow that fucking cat and descend into hell together. Then we find Acorn, free him from the eternal damnation that he is surely suffering at this very moment, and lead him back with us, where he will live out the rest of his sinful days haunted by the knowledge of what awaits him when he is inevitably pulled back into the pit. And then we can ride all our ponies down the Pony Pal Trail!" Pawnee blubbered excitedly. Acorn seethed as he watched Mino smugly shit off the edge of the lone tree stump in the middle of the dead clearing. Acorn wasn't sure what it was with which he was seething. Rage? Self-loathing? Jealousy? But seething he surely was. "When will the other two judges fucking get here?" Acorn snapped. "But Acorn," said a voice from behind the pony, "we've been here all along." Acorn spun around and saw two figures standing on, or were they hovering slightly above, the gray marshy ground. One was a tall, middle-aged woman in a plum-crushed velvet pantsuit whose glasses did nothing to hide the keen glimmer of her brown eyes. There were a few streaks of silver in her wavy brown hair. They imbued her with a sense of dignity, like, "Fuck it, I'm bad at descriptions, here's a picture of her." She looked pretty much exact like that, much more efficient to do it this way. The other person was a really rad dude with really rad shades who needs no introduction. "Who are these douchebags?" Acorn whinnied. The rad dude spoke again. "We're the douchebags who wrote you." "Wrote me?" Acorn said. "What the fuck is that supposed to mean?" "It means you're a fictional character," the woman said. "That's right," said Dirk Strider. He hadn't formally introduced himself as Dirk Strider yet, so it should be totally obvious who he is. No need to be coy. And the woman's Jean Betancourt. Let's not pretend this is any sort of dramatic revelation. "You're a text, Acorn," Dirk continued, "and I'm going to fucking deconstruct you. You wouldn't dare to. That's a daring proposition. I dare you to try," Acorn said falteringly. "Can't get that dare in a pun to work, huh?" Minos observed dryly. "Fuck you, cat, I'll get it eventually." "All puns aside, Acorn," Jean Betancourt said, "yes, you are a character from a book that I wrote. And Dirk, well, I'm not exactly sure how he's involved in all of this, but apparently he wrote it too." Dirk waved his hand dismissively. "Don't worry about it, Jean Betancourt. Doesn't matter." "If you say so, Dirk." There, now they've introduced each other, so Acorn's up to speed with everything, and it'll make sense when he addresses them by name from here on out. "The point, Acorn," Jean continued, interrupting my didactic parenthetical edification, "is that we created you, and so we're in a unique position to judge you for the horrible things you've apparently done." "Apparently?" Acorn whinnied. "So you don't even know what it is that you're judging me for?" "They don't know your sins yet," Dirk said. "I'm going to have to read them." He pulled a thin, worn paperback book from his back pocket. Its purple cover showed a picture of a pony and was defaced with some vulgar and hilarious text. "Read" being a loaded term, of course, Dirk said as he began thumbing through the paperback. "Vocare versus legere. Isn't it funny that the English word read doesn't distinguish between reading silently and reading aloud? We need to employ separate modifying words to clarify. The father phoneme and the filial grapheme reunited by ambiguity." Minos and Betancourt were rolling their eyes as if the two of them were desperate gamblers down to their last dollar, and said eyes were their lucky pair of dice. or as if the cat and the woman were political prisoners, and their eyes were the final cigarette they were preparing for their stalwart comrade before he was dragged out into the snowy courtyard of the palace-turned prison to face the firing squad. Or as if they were star-crossed Italian lovers forced apart by cruel circumstance and trying to draw out the moment of their departure for as long as possible, and their eyes were the R's and their final arrivederci. Or as if they were pastry chefs and their eyes were the dough for the royal tarts that would be served a few short hours later at a hastily assembled diplomatic dinner called in response to some urgent socio-political crisis, and the resolution of said international kerfuffle depended on the cooperation of the second Archduke of Belgium, who was as notorious for his capriciousness as he was for his sweet tooth. They're rolling their eyes pretty fucking hard, is the point. Dirk continued, undeterred. The closest we have for a unique verb for to read aloud in English is probably recite, from the Latin recitare, which can mean either to repeat from memory or to read aloud. But the English recite is almost exclusively used to refer to speaking from memory, not directly from a page. After all, how can one recite again without the initial citation from brain to page? The mind has an intermediate step between text and mouth, words being inscribed in the surface of a brain before spoken. That word, inscribe, really is the heart of it all, isn't it? Scribere, to write. Inscribe, not just to write, but to write into, to embed words in the page. To recite is to speak aloud the words written into the brain by the page. A reversal of the standard interpretation of the causation/power. Page writing into man, the source of the receiver of the violence flipped. Speaking as reading, reading as speaking, reading as writing, writing as reading. So when I say I will read your sins, it should be clear that I'm simultaneously reading them and writing them, and it should be equally clear that there is no difference at all between these two actions. What the Christ-shitting fuck are you talking about? Acorn neighed. Dirk shrugged. You tell me. But all pedantry aside, I should tell you how this'll go down. Now, Acorn, even the most cursory examination of your crimes makes it apparent that your soul is unfit for any sort of reward in the afterlife. But torture and torment hardly seem right either. Yes, we won't be making a choice between heaven and hell, Betancourt said. It's much more weighty than that. It's a choice between existence and non-existence. Minos nodded. Well, the two of them, have direct control over your narrative. They can rewrite it so that you never existed at all. The question is not what you deserve, Dirk said, but whether you deserve. With the sins that you have accrued, Acorn, do you deserve to have ever lived at all? Acorn pranced and snorted. Do you think I give a shit? Erase me, delete me, whatever it is you'll do. Non-existence doesn't scare me. Dirk shook his head. No, Acorn, I know that you don't give a shit. He turned his head slightly so that a beam of light glinted off his sunglasses in a cool and dramatic way. His flashing eyes, his floating hair. But I think that Anna would give a shit. Acorn finally stood still. Just hurry the fuck up and judge me.